Hey everybody, the following is an excerpt from the monthly Rahdo Roundup, and if you'd like to see the rest of the roundup, you can hit that eye up in the top right corner of the screen, or if you'd like to know more about the game, you can follow the link down in the show notes. And with that out of the way, let's talk about a new cooperative game called Last Bastion. Although, it's not quite so new, this is a retheme remake of a hugely popular cooperative game, one of the first major cooperative games of modern board gaming, Ghost Stories. It is from designer Antoine Bauza, and I believe this started out as kind of like a 10th anniversary re-release, but it morphed and evolved into a completely separate standalone game that, don't get me wrong, still uses 90% of the core gameplay mechanisms of Ghost Stories. If you know Ghost Stories, which is widely lauded as the most challenging cooperative game ever, with good reason. It's a super hard game where players are working to try to save a small village from an onslaught of, well, ghosts in the original game. Now we're trying to save it from an onslaught of fantasy monsters because we've taken the Chinese myth setting and replaced it with a more generic fantasy setting. Some people will be very disappointed by that because certainly Ghost Stories had one of the most unique settings in modern board gaming, and that's all been jettisoned to go with more standard, Gygax, Tolkien-y type stuff. But if you like that kind of stuff, hey, it's done really well here. The presentation is through the roof, great miniatures, everything about it. And if you ever enjoyed Ghost Stories, you will enjoy the gameplay here because, like I said, it's 90, even 95% the same. The main difference is it's been streamlined a little bit. A few of the rough edges have been sanded off just so that the game has a kind of a more even flow. Don't get me wrong, it's still just as hard as it's ever been, but it's maybe not quite so swingy. And, so things have just been tweaked and adjusted and balanced. There are new things. There's a lot more playable characters than there ever was in Ghost Stories, at least before you got a bunch of expansions. That's really cool. Some neat player powers. It's great. It's real. Oh, and again, the production is stellar. Here's my problem. Two problems. One, my problem is not the difficulty level. I was always cool with the difficulty level of the original Ghost Stories. It's still here. My problem is in that urge to simplify and streamline. One of the things that Antoine Bauza did is he completely eliminated the brilliant two-player scaling rules, or solo scaling rules. Now this doesn't even support solo, which was the notion that, hey, if you and I are playing, the other characters of the third and fourth, they still exist, and we have special, I think they're called power tokens, we could use to call in help from the third and fourth player who are kind of virtual players. That was so wonderful and rich and compelling. That's been completely jettisoned. And now the game is just shorter to make up for the fact that only two players are going to have to try and hold off the onslaught. That, I think, significantly weakened the two-player experience, and it completely eliminated the solo experience, and that is heartbreaking. I would say now, if you want to play Last Bastion as a two-player game, you should really play with 4 characters, each player controlling 2. The rules don't say that, but if you want to get the full, rich, and exciting and interesting collaboration between players with special powers experience, you got to play that way. And that was heartbreaking. My other complaint is I was hoping, over 10 years ago, there were certain things that were standard in board game design that we've kind of evolved beyond, or we do more interesting stuff, and that is dice, roll to resolve combat. Nothing has changed about the combat system, and I had really hoped that Antoine would have come up with something a little bit more meaty and interesting than just roll and try to match symbols. It's fine. It still works as well as it ever did. But these days, you just want something a little bit more. So that's why Last Bastion comes in at number 28. And thanks for watching, folks. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. It makes a huge difference, believe me. But with that out of the way, if you'd like to see some more, over on the left, you can find a playlist of a whole bunch more Rahdo Rapid reviews. Up in the top right, there's the latest thing that's been added to the channel. And in the bottom right, you've got something YouTube recommends. Okay, folks, thanks for watching.